Hello, Speedgaming 2023. My name is Hebbings, and I'm joined by the lovely Giga Otomi for Final Fantasy Mystic Quest Randomizer Qualifier 1. Giga, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. It's always a good
So,
time.
yeah, no, definitely a good, happy to have Speedgaming host us again for another tournament since last year's debut. We've had some changes this year, and we have a different set of flags for this year's tournament. Giga, do you want to go ahead and go over those for chat?
Absolutely. We've got standard logic, which, as I was saying before when I was here incorrectly, standard logic pretty much lets everything from vanilla that would normally be possible be possible. The Save the Crystals goal means we have to beat every boss. That is Flamer's Rex in the Bone Dungeon, Ice Golem in the Ice Pyramid, Dual Head Hydra in the Lava Dome, and Pazuzu in his tower.
Leaving our mini bosses optional for those who might be curious.
Absolutely correct. We've got the original chests included, which means any red chest from the original game may or may not have an important item in it. We've got NPCs prioritized, meaning they will get important items put on them before anything else. There will be battlefields prioritized, and battlefields are shuffled, so only battlefields that are blue on the overworld will have items in them, whether they're important or not. Green battlefields have money in them, and gray ones have experience. We've got brown boxes shuffled, which means they won't have their vanilla items inside them, important or not necessarily. We have a random starting weapon. Normally, you'd start with a sword, the steel sword. With the random starting weapon flag, you can start with a bomb, the claw, or an axe. We have 50% enemy density with shuffle positions, 50 to 125% enemy scaling, meaning any of their stats can go down to 50% or up to 125. 100 to 150% boss scaling, which only applies to the bosses like Minotaur, Flamer's Rex, Medusa, so on and so forth. We have no progressive formations, which means enemies will be scaled to the map they're placed in rather than the continent. And also because map shuffle's turned off, the maps aren't moved around, so the maps will be on the continent they're supposed to be.
And to answer a question from chat, our equipment is completely randomized. There is no progressive equipment gain. So you could get Dragon Claw before you get Charm Claw, or etc. And speaking of claws, it looks like our runners have started off with the Cat Claw.
Right. I should probably be watching.
Starting off with the claw is kind of a double-edged sword. The claw is the weakest damage-dealing starting weapon that you can get with that setting. However, it does offer some utility in the terms of, I think it can inflict paralysis. Is that correct, Giga?
It can inflict poison and paralysis.
Yep. And also, but the caveat to that is it has the weakest amount of damage, but you can climb walls. So if you get access to an area that has walls to climb that you need to make checks, that's an option available to you. And it looks like Sir Lancelot is taking the safety strat here, along with X10, both of them farming battlegrounds. Looks like they're doing it for different reasons. X10's taking money, while Sir Lancelot's headed straight for XP before he dives in the Bone Dungeon. So while they're doing that, let's go ahead and go through the rest of our flag sets here. Giga, go ahead and continue where you left off.
All right, we've got the simple shuffle for the Randomizer, which means attacks. All the attacks in the game will be put into a list, shuffled around, and then put back on the enemies that they had originally gained from. If a monster has 2 attacks to begin with, it will have 2 attacks randomly from that list. This does not include attacks from the Dark King, but it does include attacks from every other enemy in the game. As for the Dark King, in the final boss rush, we only have the Dark King available. We do not have Skullrus Rex, Stone Golem, the Twin Head Wyvern, or Zug.
Consequently, our runners also do not have to do the re-dungeon navigation as well. It is just a straight staircase to the final boss this year. So once our runners hit go mode and get to the final dungeon, it is navigating the same floor and then straight on to Dark King.
The frustrating dungeons have been tweaked, as is standard for this randomizer. Meaning
I don't know anybody runs without that setting on, honestly.
Nobody
anymore.
does. Nobody does. Oh, we've got a Giant's Axe on the X10 side.
And Mega Grenades. That is our first Go Mode item of the run. So, speaking of Go Mode, Giga, would you like to regale our audience with some Go Mode requirements?
Absolutely. I had Go Mode listed here somewhere. To be specific, Go Mode is the Dragon Claw, Mega Grenades, the Captain's Cap, Mobius Crest, Sun and Sky Coins, and I believe that's it. We don't need a sword, because, well, we do need a sword to get through the Ice Pyramid to the Ice Golem.
But that's technically not Go Mode, but it is required. So yeah, once our runners can get the max ship and hand in his hat, they will be able to get to the final dungeon and fight the Dark King. There is no shortcut turned on, no convenient staircase from Foresta to the Dark King this time. And River Coin in Bone Dungeon looks like our runners will be going to Fireberg.
I have to imagine that X10 also picked that up. I didn't catch it.
So I did not catch it either. We were going over our settings here. I did see that unfortunate red chest, though, that he picked up that had bombs in it after getting Mega Grenades. And both of our runners getting some decent spells. Arrow is the best black magic spell that you can honestly get in this entire game due to the progressive scaling of magic damage. Right. Thunder being the weakest wizard spell. I think it does about the same damage as Arrow, doesn't it?
No, it really doesn't. Thunder does about the same damage as the fire spell.
Yeah, so the Arrow is actually going to be better for our runners, and they're going to have more charges available to use that spell as they level up. Could be their main source of damage, though. Mega Grenades is always consistent, never misses, and not consequent to any elemental weakness. So
spells are also just as consistent and never miss.
True. But they require spell charges, unfortunately. Right. And in these early levels, those are at a premium.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be surprised if they just opted to use bombs anyways.
True. Notice a little divergent in technique already. X10 opting to keep Tristram on auto, while Sir Lancelot has already made the switch to manual, saving him some time in not having Tristram accidentally heal Ben when he gets poisoned. Honestly, poison's not that dangerous of a stat, and that's almost a waste of damage turn at this point.
Right. Poison in this game is only 1/20th of your max health.
Yeah. Got a great question from the chat here. What level do most runners want for the end of the game? 17? Most runners will try to get a minimum of 16 when Dark King has his vanilla moveset. Reason being is 16 is the minimum level for Ben to live through Mega White. If you can live through Mega White, you can basically safely make it through that fight. 17's also kind of nice, although if you want to live through Spider Kids, you need to get to around level 21 to live through Spider Kids, and even then Laser can still kind of get you, and at that point you've kind of wasted a lot of time. So unless routing has forced you into a lot of fights to get to around level 20-21, 16's kind of our minimum. I've personally, and I've seen other people do it, fight Dark King at level 14. That is a scary fight, and I don't know if we'll see it this tournament, but you know, time will tell.
To get back to the flags again, we've got no crest shuffle, meaning that all the crest warps will go exactly where you expect them to in the vanilla game. No map shuffle, which I talked about earlier. No Doom Castle shortcut. I've seen most people use the Doom Castle shortcut like all the time. What it does is it puts a series of bone platforms on the rightmost side of the bottom floor of the Doom Castle, so that you can skip the sand puzzle there, which isn't much of a puzzle, really. It just makes it so that there are no... the Mega Grenades and the Dragon Claw are no longer Go Mode items. So we don't have that, so the Mega Grenades and Dragon Claw are. The leveling curve is 2.5 times. So it's not that we get 2.5 times the amount of experience. I believe it's that levels cost 2.5 times less experience.
Really quick, looks like X10 was rewarded for his due diligence on those brown boxes. Most runners will forego brown boxes since they don't require any progression, but X10 did find a brown box with seeds, which now enables him to do seed duping if he needs, giving him more spell slots available to him, and this could help him catch up to Sir Link-a-Lot. And I did also want to remind chat, these are not our only runners in the qualifiers for tonight. We have about 8 participants in the qualifier tonight.
7, it looked like to me.
7. Yep, we have 7 participants in qualifiers tonight. They opted not to be restreamed, so these are only 2 of 7 folks for our first qualifier. Sir Link-a-Lot saying, no thank you, I'll keep my 500 GP for that fire book. You can keep that trash. And picking up our boy Ruben.
Honestly, not a bad decision.
No, I save your money. Fire is not really worth it. Even on Ice Golem, you'll do more damage with most other spells. Ooh, Libra Crest pickup, though. That is going to be good. Gonna help them check White in Libra Temple and also, I believe, a Libra Forest tile. I think those are our only Libra Crest checks.
Sounds about right to me. There is a Libra Crest tile in Spencer's place that is normally used to get the Mobius Crest in Vanilla. Actually, that might be Gemini. I'm pretty sure it's Sleep Booth.
Correct. I did also want to bring attention, while they're in a battleground here, you might notice that our runners are not exactly playing as Ben. We have 76 different sprites to choose from for the randomizer now. One of them being the Radical Raisin from the Raisin commercials back in the 80s, who also got their own franchise video game. And Sir Link-a-Lot is running a purple red mage because you got to be styling while you're profiling on some enemies here.
Hold on. You got that a little bit wrong. Cool Spot was the 7-Up mascot.
True. Okay, I did. Sorry. My mistake. That is Cool Spot. Regardless, though, our runners are free to choose any of our custom sprites because they do not impact seed logic at all. So if you're ever curious and you want to start running the randomizer against someone and you want to race, you can choose any sprite you want. It will not impact logic in the slightest.
Mm-hmm. I've made a few of them myself. The Red Mage, I believe, is one of them. I don't recall giving him any purple clothing, but it's not that hard to recolor a sprite.
True. And if you are interested in the spriting aspect of our community, we do have an entire Discord room dedicated to adding more sprites to the randomizer. You can check that out. The link to the randomizer is at ffmqrando.net. Y'all have been great with sprites.
Put in the chat.
Yeah, I believe there is a command.
Even if there isn't.
Yeah. There we go. But yeah, no, that is y'all started that spriting work when we went to RPG Limit Break, and we had what, like 8 sprites at the time, 9?
Roundabout.
And then over the course of 2 weeks, y'all cranked out like 70 sprites. That was insane. A little bit more divergence here. X10 picking up his Libra Crest. Sir Link-a-Lot taking a dive in the mines. Now, this isn't necessarily required. However, there are some good checks here in terms of density. There's only 3 chests on the perimeter here before you get the Djinn. However, once you defeat that nasty genie, he does have 5 chests behind him, as well as the unlocking condition for Ruben 2, who has the white spell. So I believe Sir Link-a-Lot's play here is to try to upgrade Ruben as fast as possible, get access to that meaty white spell, so he can kind of breeze through Lava Dome and make his way to Aquaria.
4 of those chests are brown chests, though, and I believe most brown chests aren't going to be that important. We have the magic ring. Oops.
That is a good pickup. Now, for folks who might not know this, there have been some changes to the randomizer in terms of navigation of dungeons. Before in the vanilla game, there's no possible way to get to mines without having a claw weapon. That's just logically how you're going to get to Fireberg and how you're going to get to the mines. However, in the randomizer, that's not possible. So to prevent you from getting softlock, our developer Wild Ham has made it to where you need to have the claw to operate the mine buckets over here, the ones that let you fall down. Yep. So if you do not have a claw weapon, you actually cannot get through the mines to make any of these checks. And that is purely to prevent you from getting softlocked. All right, we are taking on our first actual, like, serious boss here, Jin. Let's see how mean this genie is tonight. We've seen some crazy stuff from Jin. With Simple Shuffle on the table, our enemies have the possibility of rolling Duplicate as one of their moves from the Slimes, Ninjas, and I believe... What is that third enemy that has Duplicate? Ghosts?
It was... I don't think the Slimes ever had Duplicate. It was the Ninjas from Doom Castle, it was the Mummies, and the Ghosts.
Mummies and Ghosts. So there's about 4 enemies, 4 possibilities for enemies to roll Duplicate there. And if they do, bosses can just duplicate themselves with the current HP value, which could be in the thousands.
Never a good time to see that.
No, never indeed, especially on your big bosses like Pazuzu or Ice Golem or Hydra. Genie not doing anything crazy, although still being mean, rolling some decent damage hits on his attacks, although Sir Lancelot managing that fairly well. The only annoyance here really is the sleep spell that he keeps casting on his Ben character. Getting lucky with that roll there and getting Ben waking up right away, though.
Something I like to regale people about is how the damage formulas tend to work in this game. Every damage formula that can be used by the monsters has a boss flag and involves the monster's maximum health, divided by 8. If it has the boss flag as well, it's divided by a further 10. So this means that it doesn't matter very much exactly which attacks a monster uses. It will always be roughly as strong as it's supposed to be for that position in the game.
Indeed. And that can make some enemies hit extremely hard or not as hard as you would think. And speaking of rewards for getting through those tough bosses, Sir Lancelot picks up a Apollo helm from Ruben there and saves Aaron, which will give him access to 2 more item checks here. Apollo helm especially important here since Dark King has Mega Flare and you want some form of fire resistance going into that fight. Moon Helmet or Apollo Helmet will both do you fine, although Moon Helmet is the better of the 2 options there. An exit coming from Ruben's dad here, that's going to change the flow of this race entirely. Getting exit as early as possible will allow for a lot more check volume going forward for Sir Lancelot. You'll be able to dip in and out of dungeons more freely and quicker than anybody else, since he now has that exit spell.
We've got X10 doing some battlefields at the moment.
Correct. It looks like X10 went for the battlefields instead of going to mines. Decision that could work out in his favor or could not, depending on what the reward is. He's on his last of 4 battles, I believe, here. Getting some rather nasty status ailments from these ghosts, though. Paralysis being one of the worst ones. Having a completely random timer on how long you're paralyzed for. Confusion is just as bad, if not worse, though, since it can have your partner kill themselves or Ben, depending on your RNG.
I would argue
is the reward, though.
I would argue that Confusion is absolutely worse than Paralysis.
Oh, wholeheartedly agreed. I think Confusion is the #1 awful, like, worst status element you can get, followed closely behind by Paralysis. Captain's Cap from Hermit. This could play out into X10's favor, although I don't imagine Sir Lancelot is going to fade the Hermit before he leaves Fireberg.
We did just find the multi-key.
Indeed. And immediately going back to the Hermit. So putting these two about on pace with each other, though Sir Lancelot will have the advantage if both of them go into Lava Dome, since he will be able to go out. X10 going into Mines, though, so he will be picking up his Magic Ring and his Apollo Helmet and freeing Ruben's dad. Let's hope he remembers to talk to Aaron, though, to get his exit spell. Some of the runners in the community accidentally forget to talk to Ruben's dad, leaving him in bed forever. So,
oh, he'd be in bed forever anyways.
True.
At least until the end cutscene of the game, after you beat Dark King. At which point, he's free no matter what.
Indeed. Waiting for you at the ship's dock to see you off on your long voyage. Both of our runners, well, Sir Lancelot here navigating Volcano without a mask, not using that opportunity to peek the chest above Medusa. I wonder if he's just going to go ahead and go up there, check manually, or if he's just going to fight Medusa and be safe for this run. We'll see. He does have exits, so a full peek won't hurt him that much.
He also has Ruben too, so I would imagine that he feels pretty safe going to fight Medusa.
Indeed. I mean, it is pretty safe to just fade Medusa or any of our other mini bosses for that matter, since none of them really gate as many checks as Jin does. Jin, I think, probably has the most checks behind him since of the chest density. However, I mean, Medusa could be sitting on a go mode item there. We just won't know until we fight her. Or she could have some cans of soda.
You never want to see the soda.
Refreshers. Only handy like one in 99 runs. Other than that, they're completely worthless.
All they do is remove your debuffs.
True. Although on Dark King, that can come in handy. I've gotten a couple defense downs in phase 1s and had a refresher save my butt when it comes to Spider Kids. Very niche situation, though. You won't see that in a lot of these runs.
You would know this better than I do. Does dying remove your debuffs?
No, it does not.
Ah.
So that is a use case for refreshers. Ooh, Medusa has Snake Bite, which will inflict paralysis in Sir Lancelot without life here, taking the manual route, trying to keep Ruben up since he is his main source of damage.
And does it successfully.
Yeah, barely living through that last hit there, getting a nice damage roll. X10 taking on Jin. Hopefully he has a little bit of a nicer time than Sir Lancelot did, fighting the evil genie. Ooh, Bark inflicting that confusing status, though getting lucky and having it hit Ben instead of Ruben. Everybody say hello to Baldusa. There's no shame here. She's just got a very clean shave going on there, and she wants to show it off to the world. And down goes Medusa for some heal potions.
At least it's not refreshers.
Great question from chat about the way life works. The life spell will not remove debuffs outside of combat. So if you use life from the overworld or from the dungeon screen, it'll just restore your health. However, while you're in combat, it will remove all status ailments. So best to save life use for while you're in combat. Otherwise, you won't need to use heal to remove poison or... no, poison's the only status ailment that you need to remove in the overworld.
I think you misunderstood the question. Does life remove debuffs?
Oh, debuffs. No. No, it does not. The only way to remove a debuff is a cool can of soda. It'll remove status ailments, but not debuffs. In Gemini Crest.
So the life spell is the only way to revive your party members in the entire game. The heal spell doesn't do it. Exiting battles does do it, but that's by restoring you to 1 point of health, because you're not allowed to be dead outside of battle. But
debuffs do go away after battle ends, chat.
They certainly do.
Yeah, they do not carry over from battle to battle, but when you're in combat with the Dark King, every advantage that you can get will be helpful, since this randomizer fixes the underflow glitch. So all of our runners throughout this entire tournament will have to fight Dark King in his entirety. They will not just be able to cure him. And Wake Water, that could lead to a lot of good checks. You almost hate to see it in these settings, though, because that's an item that leads to other checks logically, which means that's another step involved in getting a potential go mode item.
Not only that, it leads to Spencer's Cave being open in Aquaria, which nobody wants to see because it's such a long walk.
I have literally run a practice seed this week where Spencer was holding on to Thunder Rock.
Oh, you poor thing.
And for context, you need Thunder Rock to get to Spencer's Cave from the Windia entrance. So unless you make that long trek down from his basement in Aquaria, you wouldn't be able to check the other way to check his items in Windia. Sir Link-a-Lot about to show off why we love to see Exit and Lava Dome, though. Pressing the button immediately, dipping out, saving a huge amount of time, and opting to take the right path here to dodge some fights on his way to the entrance to the dungeon lair proper.
X10's still bumming around in the mine. It looks like he's leaving right now.
Yeah, looks like he took a little extra time to check those brown chests. Free Ruben's dad. It looks like he's also going to go trade up for Ruben 2 and talk to Aaron. A good call. And he is rewarded with Exit as well. Opting to stay in instead of buying seeds.
He could probably still afford seeds.
Probably, yeah.
Only a 50-ish GP a seed, I think. Oh, nope. He's not buying any seeds.
And he still has Ruben 1. Meanwhile, Sir Link-a-Lot picking up another Go Mode item there, Mobius Crest. That just leaves Dragon Claw and Thunder Rock for him, as well as
Dragon Claw, Thunder Rock, and the Sun Coin.
Well, I mean, he's got multi-key. He can warp from the Hermit's house. He
True.
He does not need Sun Coin to get to...
Does find a Steel Sword, though.
Yep, and that's the only sword he needs, technically.
They all function the same on the open world.
Correct. Excalibur's nice, but the Dinky Steel Sword's all you need to get through Ice Pyramid.
Excalibur is the strongest weapon in the game, alongside Ruben's Morningstar. They both have an attack value of 250. But the Excalibur doesn't have any elements associated with it. So...
True. The only bonus Excalibur does give you that is worth anything is a speed bonus. So players who might try to edge out Dark King on the final fight and try to get Ben to get a turn before Dark King will switch to Excalibur just for that 5-point speed bonus. Meanwhile, Sir Link-a-Lot has gotten his Sand Coin, giving him access to the best partner in the game, and is picking up an axe for his troubles, even though he has a giant's axe.
Oh, right. My bad.
That's all good. And it looks like X10 has doubled back and grabbed a Ruben 2, a wise decision. I think he forgot that he had Ruben 1, and he left. He went, no, wait. I want the good Ruben.
He may have gotten Tristan 2 specifically to trade him out, because you cannot trade up from partner 1 to partner 2 without swapping to a different partner.
Correct. The randomizer does not force any partners out of your game like the vanilla game does, out of your party like the vanilla game does. So in order to partner swap in this game, you just have to talk to one of your other partners in their respective locations, recruit them, and then visit your partner again at their level 2 spot. Ruben is a homebody, though. He just lives with his mom and dad, so he's always at his house regardless of Ruben 1 or Ruben 2.
Why don't we talk about the other locations of them? Haley is in her house as well, in Foresta, but you cannot recruit her until you find the tree wither. And you cannot recruit Haley 2, who is lying sick in bed after you fight the Minotaur, until you get the elixir. And after you recruit her from her bed, she will be in the Windia Inn on the 2nd floor if you ever decide to change your party members.
Correct. And Phoebe is always hanging out in Libra Temple until you have her check performed at the Wintry Cave, where you would normally get the Cat Claw into the vanilla game. After that, and you swap her out, she'll be waiting for you on floor 1 of the Windia Inn. And lastly, Ruben. Fun fact about Tristan. Fun fact about him. Tristan 2 is always waiting in the Fireberg Inn, regardless of if you've gotten Tristan 1's check or not. So Tristan 2 is kind of an anomaly. He's left that way per the vanilla programming. And honestly, you can actually double back with Tristan 2 and make Tristan 1's check in Bone Dungeon with Tristan 2. So if you don't feel like stopping to pick up a meat shield, you can just avoid that. Ooh, unfortunate set of circumstances here with Hydra and Sir Link-a-Lot. Went to go cure Ruben. Ruben got petrified and then got KO'd by Hydra. This is looking like a nasty dragon fight here.
Always sucks when stuff like that happens.
Hydra logic is especially dangerous since he has a phase shift at about 50% HP where he completely changes his moveset, and with the Randomizer turned on, that can make him be even deadlier or not as bad. In this case, he got the deadlier turn with having Petrify now in his toolkit, and neither of our party members having Petrification protection here.
That's an entirely separate set of attacks, isn't it?
100%. So once you see Hydra change into his scary face and maybe even a little bit of HP into his one-headed phase, you'll see his moveset change. So instead of this Fire Breath that we're seeing just wreck our party here, he'll switch to a different moveset, and this new moveset appears to include Thunder attacks and Petrification Breath.
We've got X10 running through the lava dome now. Looks like he's about to find... I forget exactly what was in that chest.
I believe it was Gemini Crest?
It was one of the crests, I bet.
Or Wake Water. One of the two. Hazards of running the randomizer chat, you will lose your short-term memory abilities. It will just go out the window. Honestly, running a seed, I can't remember what I picked up 10 minutes ago.
It was Gemini Crest.
It was Gemini. I'm glad I remembered that. And it looks like Link-a-Lot's about to switch over to that other set of attacks here. Gonna go ahead and try to power on through here with double attacks here. There is the attack change. Looks like he got lucky with Ruben getting hit by the Thunder attack. No Petrification yet. Probably gonna go on the defensive here. Yep, opting to life Ruben.
And his Ben gets hit.
Getting lucky there with a punch attack, though. Not getting petrified just yet. It's still in the wings, though. I saw him hover over defense, considering using Ben as a body blocker in the event that petrification goes off on Ruben.
Honestly, not a bad idea.
No, defense actually has a use in the randomizer chat. I know you've never seen anybody actually use that defense button down there. Meat shielding is completely valid as a strategy in the randomizer when you have nasty attacks shuffled in like this. If your Ben has petrification resistance and you have an enemy with petrification attacks and you've got Aegis Shield, perfectly acceptable to use Ben as a body blocker for that while your partner does the damage.
Accidentally leaving Ruben on auto when he was at low health. Ruben will never use the life spell on himself.
No, opting to use those potions instead.
Because the game is programmed as if the life spell was programmed correctly, rather than it ignoring whether you're dead or not. In most Final Fantasy games, the life spell only revives dead people. In this game, it's a little bugged. Just a tiny bit.
Chat asking if meat shielding is a thing in the vanilla speedrun. I cannot remember. I've actually never gotten around to doing the speedrun myself, even though I've run this randomizer like a billion times. So unfortunately, I can't answer that with 100% accuracy.
And I am very much not a speedrunner. I would have no idea.
And Wyvern goes down after a little bit of struggling here. Or is that Hydra?
That is Hydra. Dual head Hydra.
Hydra. So Hydra's down. Chat, if you haven't seen this change in the cutscene now, you're gonna love it. Wait for it.
Waiting for it.
That's right. You no longer have to watch the lava flow. You can just leave after the explosion. Congratulations, you're free.
Honestly, it is a little faster to use exit there, but not by much.
No.
Especially with the speed hack.
Correct. And yeah, it's taking a couple extra seconds to just run out there. Not a bad play. Meanwhile, it looks like X10 forgot to use his exit spell to leave after hitting the switch, instead opting to run out manually. That is going to cost him a little bit of time, but hopefully he makes it up in RNG luck here. Speaking of RNG luck, this battleground here has a nasty ratio of ambushes. Even if you're high level and have Phoebe 2 in your party, this battleground can still ambush you, since I think it's set to default like 50-50 on whether or not you get ambushed or not. And those Medusas showing off exactly why this battlefield is so nasty. The other formation, Double Jins, I think has a lower chance of ambushing you, but for some reason, double Medusas will just get you, like every time.
And you don't really have a choice of which formation to fight. It's generated randomly every time you enter the battlefield.
Correct. And I mean, you could try to walk back and forth to manipulate RNG to get the Jin formation, but at this point, it's just better to power on through it like Sir Linkalot's doing here, though. Running a little risky, though. I think he's getting, 2 Mega Grenades. So he might top up here before this last fight. Yep, smart move. X10 picking up his Mobius Crest, though. Making progress.
Thank you to the tracker. He says, clicking the Mobius Crest button himself.
And Venus Key is a reward, so another item that leads to checks. All signs pointing to Spencer potentially having our Thunder Rock here. Still no guarantees on that yet. Sir Linkalot making use of the exit warp glitch, though. Normally you can't get up into this section of Aquaria until you thaw out Aquaria with a Wake Water. However, if you have exit in the Gemini Crest, you could just take the Sealed Temple exit, Sealed Temple warp to the Wintry Temple.
Looks like he picked up the Venus Key at some point.
He did. I believe it was from that Battleground that he just did with the double Medusas. And he was rewarded with Noble Armor, so he now has water resistance and poison immunity. No insomnia yet, though.
I thought I was
armor.
Yep.
Sir Linkalot is using a custom sprite of a red mage that has been altered to be purple.
The red mage sprite specifically is from the WonderSwan and Game Boy Advance remakes of Final Fantasy I.
Yeah, speaking of custom sprites, Giga, since you've made so many of them, do you want to go ahead and let chat know what our limitations were making these sprites? A little bit more technical than you might think.
Sure. The limitations are you've got 7 colors to work with. Each sprite needs to be fit in a 16 by 16 pixel area. And you got something like 24-ish frames to work with? That sounds about right to me.
Yeah. And those are for Ben's jump and climb animations, as well as his patented shrug. Getting the elixir from White there in the Libra Temple check. Once Linkalot gets Wake Water, he'll probably double back for Kaylee. Until that time, though.
He doesn't have Tree Wither, though. He can't double back for Kaylee.
Correct. So he'll need Tree Weather before he can double back. Big change here with how Wake Water has worked as well, chat, in the randomizer. You no longer get auto-railed into that cutscene to thaw out Aquaria right away. Instead, our runners can opt to, have to talk to the tree manually to thaw it out and then thaw out Aquaria. Linkalot taking the Charm Claw there, not necessarily a required upgrade. He could have stuck with the Cat Claw until he got Dragon Claw, but opted for the Claw upgrade, I think, just in case he needs to make use of those status ailments. Meanwhile, X10 starting his Hydra fight. Everybody wish him good luck on RNG here. You've all seen it already. This fight is particularly nasty.
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, Sir Linkalot's going down to Spencer. Spencer also has a chest that's locked by the Venus King.
Mm-hmm.
And he
Flare as his reward. Life is Life is okay. I mean, not life. Heal. Heal is okay, but Flare is great.
Life does everything Heal does. And more.
Correct. The only thing Heal can do is multi-target, but at that point, not worth it. Meanwhile, Phoebe passing off Meteor. So I think ostensibly our runners have every offensive spell that they would want to take on the final gauntlet here. Meteor is really only used for the boss refights in Hydra at this point, so kind of a late pickup on Meteor there. But Flare's the big one.
Do recall, we don't have a boss gauntlet this time.
True.
We just have the Dark King.
Correct. So Flare is really only your big money maker. White is also perfectly acceptable to have Ben do damage to Dark King. It'll do like 200 damage less than Flare. But
which does add up, but it's not Not that much.
Correct. Wintry Cave here, a good check for chest density as well. I think there's like 10 chests in here. Roughly.
1, 2... Probably about 10, yeah.
Chat asking for Toho characters in the randomizer. If you want those characters in there, feel free to join the Discord and make a submission to the sprite customization team. Someone might take up your request and get them added. There's also a guide on how to make your own sprites, and then there's an option on the randomizer page to just upload your own custom sprite and use it for your own personal runs. So you do not have to have your custom sprite officially added to the randomizer page to run a custom sprite for Ben.
That's right.
Chat also asking about Dark King's weakness to cure underflow glitch has been removed in the randomizer. So that bug has been fixed. Our runners will have to fight Dark King the good old-fashioned way. And let me tell you, there's a reason speedrunners use underflow glitch. He's a nasty piece of work.
Mm-hmm. Regarding the Toho sprites, I'll think about it. Depends on which character.
You heard him, chat. Make your request now. Get him in. Ooh, that's a terrible reward for a battleground in there, Sir Link-a-Lot.
That's a dud.
Yeah, a Quake. Did he pick up Tree Wither?
Apparently,
it looks like he did. We missed it. Sorry about that, chat. But Link-a-Lot making use of a feature that's been added to the randomizer. If you use exit on the overworld, you will warp back to the level forest. So instead of walking all the way back to Foresta, Link-a-Lot saving some good amount of time there by warping back. And now that he's got an axe, checking these other 2 chests here, getting a tin can for a helmet. Not great since he's already got a Pell helmet there. First battlefield in Aquaria.
It doesn't appear that anything else was too important in the level forest. The Minotaur is a non-boss fight. All it has is 240 health, and it's vulnerable to the life spell as opposed to every other boss in the game not being that.
Correct. And the way the life spell works, chat, is the enemy has to be designated as a regular enemy, not a boss type. And then you have to be higher level than that enemy in order to insta-kill it with life.
Actually, what I just said isn't quite true. Skullrus Rex is also vulnerable to the life spell, but only when it's cast by Phoebe because of that level requirement.
Correct. Skullrus Rex, I think, is level 31 and Phoebe's level 32. That's the reason that works.
Phoebe's level 34, but yes.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why it doesn't work on the Stone Golem either. Stone Golem is also level 34.
Correct. Taking Kaylee 2 back to... Oh, I see what Link-a-Lot's doing. He's making a check and a trade up all in one go.
Explain it for me. What's
so
going
Link-a-Lot here is going to Fireberg. He's going to go to the Hermit's house. He's going to warp to Windia, check all of Windia for its chests, swap out for Phoebe 2, and then check Kaylee 2 in the upstairs of Windia Inn. Making use of not having the Sun Coin, but having access to the Mobius Crest. Gonna go ahead and save some time in walking around Windia by just warping out. No Thunder Rock, though. Can't build a Rainbow Road, but he can check Otto's attic. I have found a Thunder Rock in Otto's attic. I don't know why he doesn't. Oh, he does have Thunder Rock. God, we've missed a lot.
We have missed a lot.
Apologies, chat.
Honestly, tracking in this game, even with the tracking health patch, it's not the easiest thing in the world.
No, it's not. But that Aegis Shield, though, that is a great find. That is going to give Link-a-Lot immunity to paralysis and petrification, both 2 very nasty status ailments there. And here's our Kaylee 2 check. She was holding the stair glitch. No, I'm kidding. Magic Mirror. So a great play by Link-a-Lot here. This is going to give him a lot of visibility in Ice Pyramid before going in to kill Ice Golem, avoiding a lot of needless fights.
Link-a-Lot was about to go to the dock, but turned himself around. I think he realized that the seat wasn't blown up out of Spencer's place yet.
Well, there's also those 2 chests in Grandma and Grandpa's basement that could have items. So also a great place to make some quick chest checks. Nothing
Right.
on Mount Gale either. That's the only chest you can get to without Dragonclaw. Also looks like he's going to go ahead and check Cage Temple while he's here. I imagine a quick stop at Rope Bridge is also in order for Link a lot.
Would make sense.
Life spell. That's awesome.
It is.
Oh, good
He
save.
was about to cast Exit.
Yep, if he casts Exit in that section of the temple chat, he'd be stuck on an island in the overworld. So good thing you took that back.
The island that you saw just off to the left when he was sitting on Cage Temple.
Correct. Making our way back to Fireburg via Mobia's Crest Warp, and then might do some seed shopping before he leaves. That's a play I would make, but we'll see if he's doing the same thing.
Doesn't look like it.
Oh, gonna take the vendor warp to Aquaria. Meanwhile, X10 has picked up his Venus shield. Gonna be some nice paralysis immunity on his end. And Linkalot entering the ice pyramid now. Not having to guess where enemies are is going to be a great boon.
Right. The magic mirror is what allows that to happen. Normally in the ice pyramid, enemies would be invisible. And in vanilla, you'd find the magic mirror just off to the right there on the first floor. And that would make all the enemies visible again.
Mm-hmm.
You could just ignore it, which I'm sure is what happens in the speedrun. But you don't have to. And here in the randomizer, it's just anywhere in the world.
Mm-hmm. And there's White. And great question from chat here. You would not be soft locked if Sir Linkalot would have exited out there. Instead, he'd just be able to press A, enter that temple entrance on that lonely island, and take the Crest Warp back. It would be a bit of a time loss, though, since he'd have to make his way back to that Crest Warp and then leave the normal way.
Right. You cannot reach that island in any way other than the Crest Warp. So, logically, it's impossible to get stuck there.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not a lot of places you can really get soft locked at unless you break logic and get into Aquaria via the sealed temple exit warp glitch without the sand coin. And even then, the ability to use exit on the overworld and the randomizer will immediately put you back in the forest host, so you really can't get locked anywhere, thankfully.
Unless you have no seeds, no white magic points, and you're somewhere weird you're not supposed to be.
Correct. And I think even then, I will have to ask Ham after this, but I think he's made it to where you can use exit on the overworld regardless of if you have charges or not. Just to prevent that kind of situation.
That would make sense.
We really have done a lot of troubleshooting as a community, and again, I can't shout out Wild Ham enough to the developer of this randomizer to try to make this as friendly as possible. Nobody wants to get soft locked. It sucks. It kind of ruins the randomizer experience. So we've done a lot of troubleshooting and a lot of bug finding to make sure that that's not possible anywhere. Linkalot showing off exactly why we pick up Phoebe 2, just mowing down enemies in Ice Pyramid. And he's at a good level too. 17 is nice. The next spell charge he gets should be at what, 20, 21?
Spell charges work off of a level divided by X formula.
Mm-hmm.
So every wizard charge comes at every 4th level. Every black charge comes at every 2nd level, and every white charge comes every level.
So 5, 9, 13, 17, 21?
You start with, I believe, 310. So, yeah.
Okay, so yeah. He's gotten his 4th spell charge for wizard spells. He won't get a 5th use until level 21. Yeah, that chat pointing out the good thing of an active community. And I can't shout out the community enough for being active as well. This is a relatively young randomizer. This is just over a year old now. So still very fresh and new to the randomizer scene, and it's been great seeing everybody come in and try out the randomizer and play it. And we wouldn't have events like this without an active community. So shout outs to all of y'all. Linkalot diving right in, didn't check the chest up or below him, but I don't think he really needs to. The only thing he needs at this point is Dragonclaw.
Mm-hmm.
So that might come back to bite him. It might not. He might take a dive after Golem. We'll see. Meanwhile, X10 on his way to grab his Phoebe.
We will say again, the bosses all need to be defeated to get the Sky Coin.
Correct. I was about to say, did he get Kaylee too? It doesn't look like it. He forgot to swap out a partner. So he just remembered, doubling back now for Tristan too. Gonna go ahead and make that swap to Tristan to get his Phoebe too, instead of Sir Lancelot, who went and grabbed Kaylee.
Mm-hmm. Ice Golem does have Ice Block, which isn't... With the attack shuffle, that's not guaranteed.
No, but that snowman melts 2 turns with Flare.
Right.
I love seeing that 4,000 damage being done to that stupid golem. It's very cathartic for me. So we've just seen Sir Lancelot brutally melt a snowman, getting rewarded for a crystal for his efforts, and now going to go ahead and grab that chest behind Golem. What could it be?
It's the Sun Coin.
Kind of a moot point since he has access to Windia via the Mobius Crest and a mask for his troubles. No Claw yet. Dragon Claw could be in a couple places. Gonna go ahead and kill Mr. Krabs here to mark one of those off his map. Squidite could be the other one holding on to his claw. There's also all of Alive Forest and Giant Tree.
Right.
I think that's the only place he hasn't full cleared.
I would personally expect it to be in either Giant Forest or the Giant Tree. Sorry, Alive Forest or the Giant Tree. Because they're just so much more dense.
Mm-hmm.
It's the 1-2 chests here against tens of them over there.
True. And for clarification on that Giant Tree check, he can only check the first floor of Giant Tree without the Dragon Claw. The rest is unnavigatable without the claw.
Correct.
Sir Lancelot opting to exit out instead of just bombing that wall and walking out. That's a new feature that's been added to the randomizer. That crab was recently moved to the left by 1 tile, making it possible to just bomb that wall and leave that way.
I haven't been doing my due diligence.
It's all right. Nice. Lancelot showing off another nice quality of life feature. Originally, you were not able to open those key doors from the back. You could only access them from the front. So Wild Ham has made a change to where you can access the doors from either side in case you do end up warping into a location without using its coin.
X10 finally bought some seeds.
Mm-hmm.
Good to see that he has some now.
Yep. Ooh,
hopefully they'll get some use. Clear.
Cure is nice, although again, life makes that a moot point. Chest number 2 is brown.
Life doesn't necessarily make Cure a moot point, because Cure can also be multi-targeted.
True. There are some very few circumstances where Cure can come in handy via multi-target. Ooh. I could feel the hope getting raised in Sir Lancelot there when he saw that red chest behind that crest warp, but unfortunately it was just a battle axe. X10 now taking on his Mr. Krabs. Brown chest behind the Libra crest check here. Only Gemini and the Giant's Axe chest available now in the chest above Giant's Gemini crest.
It doesn't look like he's going to go for the Giant... Oh, there he is. He's going for the Giant Axe chest. And it is red. It does have the Gaia's armor inside.
A great find, but not what he's probably looking for here. Oh, if Dragon Claw is on max ship, that is mean. I just remembered that could be a thing.
Thank you again to our tracker for tonight. Who is that?
I believe it might be Trenton. Oh, don't tell me our commentators curse this. Oh, there's a red chest. It's the Dragon Claw. No commentators curse. I was so scared of doing that. Yeah, that's a possibility we forgot to mention, chat. Dragon Claw could be on max ship, making our runners have to go and navigate max ship before doing Pazuzu's tower. So,
well, you don't need the Dragon Claw for anywhere on max ship.
Correct. So logically, it can be on max ship. It could also be here on the 3rd floor of Pazuzu's tower. It's because you don't need Dragon Claw to get to those 2 chests there either.
Mm-hmm. There's nothing on the 5th floor that you can do without Dragonclaw.
Correct. You can't even get to the chests without going up and around the 7th floor, then back down to those 2 chests anyways. All right, chat, taking all bets. What floor is the Jerkbird on? 6 through 1. Let me see them numbers. Not on 6, so 1 through 5. Where is the Jerkbird?
Unfortunately, unlike oh, we got a 5 in chat. We got a 4. Unlike Link to the Past, we don't have a tradition of guessing which floor he's on. Not yet, anyways.
Floor 4. Link-a-Lot opting to skip floor 5 to see if he went there, but I think he checked floor 5 on the way up. I believe he talked to him on floor 3, so...
And along with the floor that he's on being shuffled when you talk to him for the first time, before that he's on every floor. You can... The gimmick of this dungeon is that you need to prevent the elevator from taking Pazuzu to a different floor. And the way you do that is by locking off the odd floors, I believe. No, the even floors. Each of the even floors has a switch on it, which you can flip with your axe.
Yep. Unfortunately, if Pazuzu is on an even level floor and you lock off all of the switches, he will still warp up 1 floor, specifically up, not down. So if you find him on floor 2 and you've locked off the floor 2 and floor 4 switches, he'll be on floor 3. That's just the way it works. It wastes time, but Jerkbird gonna Jerkbird. And his position is now dependent based on your seed. It used to be that it was RNG dependent, regardless of if you rolled the same seed as somebody else or not. Since then, that has been fixed by Wild Ham. So wherever we see him tonight is where he's going to be for all of our runners.
He's not on floor 1.
No.
We're passing by floor 2 again.
Yep, could be on 2.
Not on 3.
No, he wasn't on 2, not on 3. It looks like our floor 5 guessers might have been right. Of course, floor 5 is the only floor you can't peek his position on. It's really annoying.
Drum roll, please.
Yep, floor 5. Congrats to anybody who guessed floor 5.
Our current winners are Concussed Gamer and LoveQ175.
Very nice. Let's see how mean the Jerkbird is rolled tonight. Being the latest of the 4 fiends, he not only has the highest health pool, he also has some of the highest damaging spells. And the only mechanic in this game that you really have to respect, the reflectability.
That's right. Reflect in this game, it's ridiculously powerful. If you cast any damaging spell on Pazuzu while he has the Sight Shield up, Sight Shield is what inflicts Reflect on him, then it will get reflected back at you for full damage, ignoring your resistances.
Yep, that damage being 1600 minus whatever your defense value is. So if either of our runners unfortunately space out and hit Pazuzu while he's reflecting, you'll see a big 15-something pop up and kill one of their characters.
Is that how it is? I thought it was the actual damage of the spell, and it doing 1,600 damage when used as an attack was a bug.
I think it's 1,600 regardless. We'll have to see. I don't think we're going to see either of our runners do that tonight. We'll have to check, though. All I know is I've seen that 1,600 when it's been shuffled randomly into the Randomizer, and I hate it.
Right. It replaces the bare hands attack that gets used when an enemy hits the 0/0 value for their attack.
So nasty. X10 making his way through Ice Pyramid, though. Getting some cans of soda. Shout outs. We love to see soda. Not really. And I think our Pazuzu's rolled about 100% here. He's already in phase 2. Opting to take a defend with Ben during this phase instead of trying to get off an Excalibur and a bow attack. Ooh! Nasty reflect there. Sir Link-a-Lot forgetting which turn it is. And it looks like Giga's right. That is full damage value. So 1946 being reflected back in Phoebe's face. You hate to see it. This might be a wipe. I don't know if he can outspeed Pazuzu.
Nope. It's a wipe.
Unfortunate. You gotta respect the reflect. It is so nasty to get caught by that.
Don't respect the reflect, you get Shrek'd. X10's making his way downtown at the moment.
Walking fast.
Faces pass. Yeah, faces don't exactly pass. He doesn't have the magic mirror. He doesn't know where the faces are.
True. He has been navigating this blind. That is costing him a little bit of time here compared to Sir Lancelot. Ooh. Was that a petrification beak that went off on Sir Lancelot's end?
I missed it. It could have been. That would have been an attack from the Stony Roosts.
Ah.
Good old Ted Rulesy.
And Lancelot about to make use of Arrow as a backup spell instead of using Seeds to refresh his flare charges. Perfectly viable as a strategy.
It doesn't matter very much which attack you use as long as the enemy you're fighting is weak to it. X10 just took out the Ice Golem here.
Which means he'll now be getting his Sun Coin as well. And this Jerkbird is incredibly fast and nasty.
Psych Shield coming down again. It's roughly every 5 turns that the Psych Shield comes up, I believe. Opting to leave Phoebe on auto so that she'll automatically decide whether to use life or cure based on what's currently happening in the turn.
Yep, that's a very good strategy, especially if Ben's close to death. Regardless, if Ben goes down in that turn, your partner will switch to lifing Ben, and then Ben will still be able to get his attack cast off.
Right. I believe that's pretty much the entirety of strategy in the vanilla speedrun. Whether you keep your partner on auto or manual, you have to pay extremely close attention to what you know they're going to do in both your current situation and the situations that could pop up over the turn.
A lot of it's a lot more technical using auto than a lot of folks give it credit for.
Right.
It is a beginner's crutch in a sense, but when used in the speedrun or in races like this, it's very methodical what our runners do, whether or not they leave their partner on manual or auto. And this Jerkbird has just been putting the screws to our runners here.
X10 finding a charm from Kaylee, but not really. It looks like he has both the elixir and tree with him, which he does. Not really needing the charm because it's already been replaced by the ring long ago.
Indeed.
Sir Lancelot takes out Pazuzu, getting, I believe, the last of the 4 bosses.
Indeed.
So after this crystal cutscene, he should get the Sky Coin.
Yep, and there's his reward. Lancelot is now in go mode. All he needs to do is get to Doom Castle and fight Dark King. Meanwhile, X10 making his way to Windia. Gonna be picking up Phoebe, checking Kaylee. He still needs Dragon Claw.
He forgot about the
proceed.
ship. Sir Lancelot forgot about the ship.
Oh. Unfortunate, yet you have to bomb Spencer's cave to get free the ship.
There it is. There is one more chest in Spencer's cave after you bomb it, I believe. The one where the Mobius crest is in vanilla.
Mm-hmm.
X10 picking up life, that's going to be good for him.
Yeah, but at this point, Link-a-Lot literally has everything he needs equipment-wise, minus Cupid Locket.
Yeah.
I believe that's why he opened up that chest there, just hoping maybe that's Cupid Locket and I could just grab it on the way.
Unfortunately, it's just a steel board.
Mm-hmm. Thankfully, none of your equipment's overwritten by its weaker counterparts, so if you already have the highest tier level of equipment and you pick up a lower tier one, nothing will change for you. You'll still get the benefits of the highest tier of equipment there.
Mm-hmm. X10 has already freed the ship, and you can tell because of the background in the rope bridge where he currently is.
Mm-hmm.
That sickly looking sea there, that's only there if you free the ship.
Correct.
It looks like Link-a-Lot's looking for the last piece of equipment he doesn't have. And there it is.
Cupid Locket. Yep. Not taking any chances on Dark King here. I completely agree that confusion is one of the nastiest status ailments you could get. Taking a couple extra seconds there to grab Cupid Locket. We'll see how that pays off for him.
Gamer asks, doesn't something happen if you get them out of order in the middle of the game? I'm not sure what he means by out of order.
If you get equipment out of order, I believe it works the same way it works in the randomizer. So let's say, for instance, you have the Gaia armor already, and then you double back and get noble armor. The game will still default to giving you all the benefits of the Gaia armor, regardless.
Right. It recognizes that the Gaia armor is the highest tier of item. So if you pick up the noble armor and you didn't have it already, when you already have the Gaia armor, it just goes, well, this bit is already flipped, so I'm going to use it.
Yeah, for as jank as Mystic Quest can be, there are some good things that the developers did to make sure stuff like that doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
And Link-a-Lot walking up to the Dark King now. Chat, go ahead and get your cat jams in. You're about to listen to probably one of the best boss themes on the SNES.
This boss music was also used in a Mega Man 4 ROM hack, Rockman 4 Minus Infinity, for the Wily Machine fight. I feel like that's a fun fact.
I mean, I would use it in my ROM hack, personally.
Sir Link-a-Lot's level 19 at the moment. He will survive most attacks at full health. Personally,
I think he's one level away from being able to survive Spider Kids.
You said earlier it was level 21 for Spider Kids.
Depends on the damage roll, but 20 you can barely skirt by sometimes. I've seen like it roll a 790-ish.
There are no random numbers in the damage in this game.
True, but if he gets off nail in the first turn and you're level 20, you'll die to Spider Kids. Whereas if you don't get nail. That Thunder Sword sucks.
And I mean it when I say there's no random numbers. Not in your damage, not in your opponent's damage, nowhere.
Yeah, it is all predetermined, although circumstances can change those for you, and that's where those refreshers can come in handy, but I don't think our runners are going to be using those.
In fact, the Dark King's attacks do not function off of his stats. They do fixed damage.
Correct, and that's why if you run the Chaos enemy shuffle, and a random enemy in the world gets a Dark King attack, they'll hit you. You will be murdered. Yeah, they'll hit you for that flat damage. So if a tree in the alive forest decides that it wants to Mega Flare you, you're taking full Mega Flare damage.
You're right in the terminology there. It is flat damage and not fixed damage. It is still reduced by your own defense, but it's the same value every time. One of them does 880 damage minus your defense. It's always 880 damage.
Yeah, Sir Link-a-Lot already showing off the benefits of picking up that Cupid locket there, being able to eat that silver web and not be confused. Whereas if he'd done that, not picked up the Cupid locket, that could have been a completely different story.
Right. He does have every tier 3 equipment, meaning he can't be inflicted by any status effect in the game other than death.
Correct. Which means Ben is going to be the person you're going to see those webs land on every time. If Phoebe takes a gold web or a silver web, that's either a potential wipe or at minimum a turn loss on damage.
And that's why I say Kaylee is Bailey, because she has petrification resistance with her relic armor.
Indeed. She is the only party member who does have petrification resistance.
We've got Link-a-Lot defending Phoebe.
Yeah,
I believe this was discussed earlier as one of the good ideas.
Yeah, if your Phoebe's low on HP and there's the potential that she could eat a web, probably best to just go ahead and defend with Ben and take the damage, so that way you can get a double cure off like he just showed off there. X10 making his way through Jerkbird. I believe Jerkbird rolled pretty heavy this time for our runners here, having a good amount of HP. Meanwhile, Sir Link-a-Lot now in phase 4, looking pretty okay. Although he just went down to a Mega White there. Opting to defend again, though. I misspoke. I missed the defend command. Phoebe would have gone down otherwise.
An important note about phase 4 of the Dark King, it does not have its own set of attacks. They're just not coded in. So, if you skip directly from phase 2 to phase 4, it will still use phase 2's attacks.
Yeah, which I have seen before, and it's really scary because phase 2 is nothing but damage. All damage, all the time.
Well, they're all damage, except phase 1.
Yeah, phase 1 has a couple, like paralysis, even though both of your party members are immune to paralysis. Weird call by the devs, but yeah, we'll take those easy turns. Ooh.
It's the start of the fight. It's not really supposed to be dangerous.
This could get hairy. Okay. If either of those webs came down, this might have been a wipe for Link-a-Lot, but instead getting flared there by Phoebe while being damaged is still survivable. Opting to defend here, taking a rather defensive last phase here. Link-a-Lot not wanting to take a wipe this far into the fight, and Dark King punishing him relentlessly. Spider Kids and lasers galore, not being able to defend Phoebe at all. Here's a turn. We're going to see a cure go off.
Finally gets a break. Meanwhile, X10 is just finishing off Pazuzu.
Putting down the stupid, sexy Jerkbird. Down he goes.
I believe that's the Sky Coin for him, too.
Yep, so this will be go mode for X10. Another hairy situation here, having Phoebe on manual and casting Cure. Being able to outspeed phase 4, though, rather lucky in terms of turn order there. Getting a laser off instead, so would have worked out regardless. But again, Link-a-Lot not wanting to take a die here at phase 4.
I imagine Dark King doesn't have that much health left.
No, 1 or 2 attacks and we'll put him down. And just to speak of the devil, Sir Link-a-Lot finishes with a 111-12. GG's to Sir Link-a-Lot.
GG indeed. Sorry about that, I had to sneeze.
All good. I'm going to go ahead and see if Sir Link-a-Lot would like to pop in for an post-race interview here. It looks like X10 is using shuffled audio here.
Yes, the Doom Castle on the dock. That's unfortunate. Doom Castle's the other best song in the game.
Yeah. That being said, though, he will still be able to. We'll all be able to enjoy the Dark Kings theme because I believe Wild Ham has made it to where you always get Dark Kings theme at the end.
Thank you for answering that question in the chat, Fred. The cure glitch was absolutely patched out. And now X10 is making his way through the Doom Castle with Lava Dome music, which is nice. He does have the Dragon Claw and the Mega Grenades, so he's in go mode. There's nothing left for him to worry about. One level lower than Link-A-Lot was. More questions in the chat. Wildham is indeed responsible for this randomizer.
Yep, it is. It is all Wildham's doing. He's done like 99% of the heavy lifting here. Although shoutouts to Oipo for the Randomizer. Oipo was the main developer on that, and thanks to him, we have chaos.
Mm-hmm. I did do a bit of value finding, but nothing too important.
I mean, it's a community effort at the end of the day, and I think all of us can appreciate everybody's contributions that they put in, especially, you know, the folks who are savvy behind the code. I am not. I just run this game. And there he is, the man of the hour. How goes it, GG, Sir Link-A-Lot?
Thank you. It's going all right. I'm not tilted as much. The Zuzu had his way with me, and yeah, that tilted me. And then, in fact, I kept forgetting to switch Phoebe off of Auto, and she kept doing stupid things during the fight. I'm like, I need to remember that. So that was not.
I mean, yeah, and thankfully this is just the first qualifier of a pretty lengthy tournament here, so best to get out the kinks now. For chat, I did want to go ahead and give everybody some updates since we have had some results come in from our runners while X10 here takes on the Dark King. In first place, we have F. Coughlin with a time of 1:05:04. Sir Link-A-Lot, you were second place with 1:11:16. Hatox has wrapped up with a 1:16:58, and Freddy N3K has wrapped up with a 1:22:22. So a less than a 20-minute variance in this first qualifier. Very respectable for a randomizer, especially among the top four.
So Link-A-Lot.
Yeah, go ahead.
How did you feel about the seed?
I guess I didn't feel too bad about it until, you know, pretty much last location, Dragon Claw, outside of it being in Pazuzu's tower. I was tempted to kind of go searching for it when I was there the first time, but I was just like, got all this stuff for Kaylee, and then I can get to the area anyways. And it's a bunch of incentivized checks, so I probably should do this. And the fact that I remembered that one chest in Level Forest that I forgot to do when I had an axe, and I was like, I can go back there and grab that, because if that's the Dragon Claw, ouch. But
I'm just very glad I didn't commentators curse you into it being on max ship, because I almost did that. You went in the giant tree. It was the very last chest you checked, and I was like, if it's not here, the only other place it can be is on max ship, and that'd be very mean of the seed. And thankfully, it was in giant tree for you.
Yep, I would have checked Pazuzu's tower, all the stuff before Dragon Claw lock, and then would have been max ship. Okay,
yeah, because that would have been faster. And max ship was max ship is a treat to to navigate. It's not very friendly. But speaking of, you did take an extra dive there looking for Cupid Locket. Were you intentionally looking for Cupid Locket or just anything else that could help you out there?
Like 99% sure that chest was Cupid Locket because I was looking at my tracker and I was like, the only thing I don't have marked off that's just like gray is fire, but I know that was on a vendor. Like, I'm pretty sure I found all 3 shields. I'm almost positive I found all the helmets. I know I found all the chest pieces and the weapons, so I'm just like, that has to be Cupid Locket, and the one thing I'm missing right now is confusion resistance against Dark King. So I was like, silver webs are bad.
Yeah, it played out in your benefit that you wouldn't grab Cupid Locket. I think you got silver web like 5 times.
Yeah, thankfully he always was deciding to do webs when I was defending Phoebe to begin with, so I don't know if I was supposed to go on Ben to begin with, but the person who took the webs was supposed to take the web.
Yeah.
Leave Phoebe alone. She doesn't need to be webbed.
Yeah, no, for sure. Got a good question from the chat, and I don't know if you've done any practice seeds from here. I've done a few of these seeds myself, where they're asking about what's the average completion time for these flags. I've been ranging between an hour to an hour 20 minutes, roughly, in my practice seeds. Have you been seeing that as well?
Yeah, it kind of depends on how bad Steed was. I know Fred posted one that I was like, he's like, this one's interesting. I'm like, let's go ahead and do that for a practice. That one ended up being a 137 because of not quite as bad as qualifiers from SGL last year, but pretty much you had to take Tristram 1 in the Windia area and get something from there.
I may or may not have posted a seed that forces you into Windia into a 5-turn battleground with Tristram 1. As a practice seed, I clocked a 130 on that one.
We have a mean community.
That's what Fred had. There was a 5-thing community. I did everything. I'm just like, I forgot the battleground and I did everything. I'm just like, okay, I missed something, and then I like leave and I go see the battleground. I'm like, oh, well.
Oh no, X10.
Oh,
that's unfortunate. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off there, Link. What were you saying?
No, that's all right. But yeah, it's just that because you get ambushed every time, so you pretty much just need the luck of the gods to even get a kill. So,
yeah. So being one of our more experienced runners with the randomizers, I think you're one of the first people I've seen run it on a stream. In terms of check priority with these kinds of settings, what's your overall thoughts in terms of like priority when you go through these seeds?
It's kind of like, because it's a little weird because they are the incentivized as well. So it's the idea that, you know, density for a certain degree, and depending on how fast I can get through a dungeon and do the checks and things like that. But kind of like how I knew there was more density in, you know, the Live Forest or Pazuzu's Tower, or even going into Max Ship. But I knew I had 4 incentivized items if I went back to the forest area. So I'm like, I was like, odds are, like, Dragonclaw's probably going to be here. It's like I'm only missing so many items. Like, chances are it's one of these, but so it kind of depends.
In terms of Battlegrounds specifically, I know a lot of the community kind of shuns them as last checks, especially with these settings, because they can be so lengthy. What's your philosophy on those?
It kind of depends what I'm running with a party at that point. You know, if I've got like Tristram 1 or like, you know, Phoebe 1, Ruben 1, I prefer not to do it. But if you're sitting on like Ruben 2 or Phoebe 2, they take a little bit of time, but chances are they're gonna just one-shot everything with white anyways. So it's a little bit of a time sink, but with it being incentivized, you know you're getting something there. It's not like you're wasting time and then it's like, hey, here, have 3 refreshes. It's like, oh, cool. That was a big waste of time.
Yeah,
and Kaylee 1's basically a cutscene, isn't she?
Yeah. Especially when you go there at, you know, like levels, like I have a giant axe. Be like, here. Normally you carry this fight in the vanilla, but
it's my turn.
I'm gonna take care of this one. Ben gets his like one of his 2 chances to shine. That's one, and the other one is if you have flare and you go to the ice golem.
Ooh, X10 taking another dive here. Unfortunately, getting confused, not having the Cupid Locket, not making that check. That is going to be one of the big variances you see here in chat. Just as a reminder, the cure glitch has been patched out. We always have to fight Dark King at his nastiest this entire tournament, no matter what. And he is a nasty piece of work. And that does segue into my next question for you, Sir Link-a-Lot. We had a question from the chat earlier, and you know, I've been running this randomizer for a while, so I fielded it with my perspective. The chat asked, what's your comfort level for going into Dark King? I personally gave the answer of level 16. That's the minimum level you need to live through Mega White, but what's your take on that?
with these flags, like 18, 19, because Dark King, odds are Dark King's probably going to be faster than Phoebe. And if you hit a spot where it's like Phoebe's switching back and forth with Dark King on who's faster, you literally can just be RNG, Dark King gets 2 turns in a row and wipes you if Ben's too low. So Ben's got to be able to survive some attacks outside of Mega White, or odds are, if you hit that, you're basically just praying to RNG that you get through it.
Yeah, and Spider Kids and lasers can still put you on your butt. So unless you're going at a level like 20 or 21, it really is kind of a challenge regardless. Got a great question from the chat here for the community. How does Kaylee get so strong just by laying in bed and being poisoned?
Well, you see, that elixir is some strong stuff.
I was gonna go with Spider-Man. Didn't he get bit by a spider and technically probably injected with some nasty stuff? So
I mean, she does use an axe, so it could just be a radioactive zombie minotaur that bites her, and then she gets radioactive minotaur powers to swing axes at insane strength.
There we go.
No, it doesn't play the same sound effect during the cutscene. It plays the sound effect of like gas being spewed at her.
Okay, he sprays her with some stuff and it didn't work the way he expected. It was experimental.
Yep. Weird science, chat. That's how Kaylee gets so swole. She also is the daughter of a sailor, so she's already salty enough as it is, and she just brings that to bear after going down one time. Never again.
I'm seeing a funny thing in here in the chat. She brought her travel axe the first time and her adventure axe the second.
Yeah, this was going to be a casual jaunt through the woods the first time, and it was like, oh no, this is serious business? Let me get my big girl axe.
But she is level 31 the second time.
Yeah, I can't explain the HP and level variances here. So, and I gotta ask, Linkalot, you were a semifinalist in last year's tournament. How do you feel that these settings stack up against our last year's settings? Personally.
I feel like they're different because especially when you just have Dark King as a rush, the, Zuh isn't a big, because that was where I lost, I think, both of the races was I decided no. But it takes that variance out and it kind of just adds all that variance into the Dark King, especially if you go into it unprepared.
Yeah.
If you don't have the proper resistances, you try to go on a little bit low level because you're like, I've got to push this because potentially who I'm going against. That's where it is. I feel like it's good. It's just Dark King you can be having I've had that plenty of times where like I got to Dark King at like 45 minutes in a practice seed, and Dark King was like, yeah, 45 minutes for the seed. Here's your next half hour. And it's like, okay. So
yeah, I think last year we capped out the bosses at 125% potential strength value. I think this year we're capped at 150%. So for chat, what that means is Dark King's HP could be 100% of its vanilla value, which is just what he is in vanilla, or he could have 150% HP of what he is in vanilla per phase. So each one of these phases, phase 1, 2, 3, and 4, roll HP values in the seed, and they can be either vanilla or juiced, and we don't know until we fight them.
Right, and in vanilla, I believe each phase has 10,000 health.
Yeah, so 150% of 10,000 is like 1,000, 15,000 HP.
Yeah.
So 15,000 HP per phase. That's a lot of whites and a lot of flares. I think I've gone through some of these seeds, these practice seeds, and it's taken me every single one of Ben's charges and like 8 of Phoebe's to get through phase 1, which is dummy thick.
Absolutely.
See, the nice thing I've noticed, like when that happens, typically the other phases, which are more dangerous, they roll lower. So I'm usually happy when phase 1 rolls a thick boy.
Yeah. I'm just glad we rolled simple shuffle for the Randomizer, and we don't have the possibility of having duplicating Dark King in this tournament. Totally something that can happen if we run chaos settings.
I would be leveling up to Phoebe levels.
I mean, you've seen it. I've posted those seeds before. It's dumb fighting him at that power level. It's too much for one boss to have.
That's when you need to be able to go and just get everybody. Like Tristram, even though you really probably can't do anything, you get to come with just to tank.
And that's what I mean when I say this community is mean. Anytime someone posts an interesting, with air quotes, seed, it's always something like that.
Oh yeah, or the stupid sexy bird boy band with duplicating Z. That's also a nasty one to give to everybody. So I did want to ask Link a lot, with everything that the seed has in terms of firepower at the end with Dark King, do you basically want to come in with all like tier 3 equipment going into this fight, or is like Moonhelm's good enough, or what's your minimum go mode?
I feel like Moonhelm's enough because that gives you the fire resistance for flare. Obviously, like at least Aegis Shield or Cupid Locket, because if Ben's vulnerable to both webs and Dark King rolls fast, it only takes two bad turns and you're back to the start of that fight. That's kind of where I feel like that's kind of the puzzle you have to figure out, is you have to get Ben to a point where he can survive enough of Dark King to where you're basically mitigating the RNG from sending you like that, mitigating it back to sending that. You need to be able, I need to be able to survive so many attacks where it's just like the only, especially if you don't have confusion or petrify resistance, I need to be able to survive anything other than maybe Spark. Just so if he does that to Ben, Phoebe's fine and hopefully can get the life off in time.
Yeah, because unless you're grinding up to level 25, Spark's the only attack you really can't live through.
Yep.
We were talking about it earlier in the run because you check a brown chest, they're liable to come up. What's your take on refreshers? Have you ever felt like you needed to use a refresher in a Dark King fight before?
Only not with this, but I have had some where he'll have an ability that reduces your magic. Then I'll use a refresher.
Okay.
But this, all of his moves they're scripted to have certain power. So, if he does defense down, attack down, if you're swinging a weapon at Dark King, something went really, really wrong at that point anyways. In defense, it doesn't really matter. So
yeah, I think the only move that it really changes the damage value for is Spider Kids. And at that point, Spider Kids are doing stupid amounts of damage anyway, so unless you're right on the cusp, I think that's the only time you'd think about popping a refresher.
Yeah.
Personally, I've never used a refresher, not even once.
Refreshers, not even once. You heard it here first, chat. Now, I did want to bring this up because this has been interesting, and especially the way that we've all kind of changed our tactics from last year's tournament to this one. I've been seeing a lot more of us use defense this tournament for the best, and I kind of want to get your take on that development, because I think at first defense was a meme. For the first year of this randomizer, I think defense was kind of seen as a meme and kind of a waste of a turn, but I've seen as we've gone on, defense be more and more of a strategic move used by everybody. How do you feel about that?
I think it's because, especially with Dark King always rolling higher, and if he's outspeeding Phoebe, you don't have that safety buffer if Phoebe's faster than Dark King. Well, if he kills Ben, I just have life before nothing bad happened. Whereas now it's just if he kills Ben and then uses Golden Web or Silver Web on Phoebe, you're probably in trouble. That's kind of where the idea is, if Phoebe gets hit, have Phoebe defend, then you can, do a multi-cure if Ben survives the attack. Then, you're back to full health on the next round. You can do double spells if you want to, or if you want to play safe, just have Phoebe cure both and just play slow game. But
yeah, in X10 right now, as we're talking about it, has switched to Mr. President stats and is just put Ben on basically bodyguard duty for Phoebe, as she does all the heavy lifting here. Really
he is level 18.
Yeah.
One level lower than Lakelot was.
Yeah, for sure. And it's, it's interesting to see the way it works. Although I will say, and I've noticed this too, I think Dark King's the only one whose AoE attacks doesn't double up on a partner when you have someone down. It does flat damage regardless. Like Mega White will never do like 1200 damage. If he bends down, it'll only ever do like 600 something.
Right.
Yeah.
That is another function of the damage formula. Most attacks would get divided if they were multi-targeted.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that happens to any monster attacks, though. I'm not sure. I haven't done enough research into it.
X10 still taking the business here, but he's in phase 3 and he's been making some smart plays here. Let's hope everything kind of works out for him. Chat, I need some positive vibes for X10 here. Even though this is a tournament and, you know, some folks are going to finish better than others, we want everybody to finish with a good time here. We want everybody to do their best. Come on, send some positive vibes. I know y'all can do it.
And more importantly, we want everyone to be happy with their position.
So going into, are you going to do tomorrow's qualifier, Link a lot?
Yeah, that's the plan. Unless something emergency comes up, I'm planning on doing it. There's not a max that we can do, is there?
No, I think we have a minimum for seed placement. But what strategy changes, if any, do you think you're going to bring to tomorrow's qualifier?
I don't know, because I felt like this one was pretty friendly with items. I guess the only thing that I normally didn't do, but I'm not finding like anything in forest stuff, and really only having that one item, I kind of did a little bit more at the very beginning. I took all the battlefields right away. One, they weren't that much, but two, I was just like, well, if I have to fight Rex with the equipment I have, I don't want to be, level 2 or level 3 and, have to potentially pull stuff that's out of the way. It's like, and then, which was a good thing, because I think there was only like one encounter the entire way through the Sand Palace. So I was like, well, or Bone Dungeon. So I was like, well, that was kind of a good thing. But then, Mega Grenades kind of took quick work with them. So.
Yeah, it's always nice seeing Mega Grenades. Ooh. Oh no, this is a bad combination.
We might be seeing another wipe on X10's side.
Oh, not double web. Oh, can he outspeed him? No. I feel like laser always goes first. I don't think I've seen anybody outspeed a laser.
I wouldn't actually know. I haven't done proper research into whether attacks have speed modifiers on them, like a sort of delay system.
I do gotta ask Link a lot. I saw Puexel run the randomizer the other day. Shout outs, by the way. Great runner. Glad he got some exposure onto the randomizer, but I saw him run the randomizer, and he got to P Tower and he saw a floor 6 Pazuzu. Have you ever seen a floor 6 Pazuzu in the randomizer?
Like once, maybe?
I have never seen floor 6 Pazuzu. Ever.
I was hoping, I was like, hey, maybe he's on floor 6, like, because that was like the last thing. I was like, I remember that. I was like, it's floor 6, no. And said he was on like floor 3
5
or 5. Yeah, 5. So like the last place I checked on top of that. So
I feel like floor 5 is the most annoying floor to get to and make that check on.
Yes.
Because you can only get there from floor 3 to get to Pazuzu and fight him. If you try to go from floor 6, you can't physically get to his position.
Yeah, but I guess if you see him on floor 5 going from 6, you could always just go back up and come down from 7 as well.
True. That is a viable option. Sorry, chat. I think we're all at this point kind of waiting with bated breath, hoping that X10 gets through this fight. Did he just transition off of a cure bow? Because that is something we can talk about.
He did that twice, actually.
Yeah. So
that happened to me as well.
Yeah. So a weird quirk of this game, chat, is the counter for phase transitions for Dark King tallies regardless of if he's healed or damaged. So if he does cure bow a couple times, he'll transition on a cure sometimes, even though it's healing him, not damaging him. Which can be a blessing and a curse. I don't know. What do you prefer to fight, Link a lot? 3 or phase 3 or phase 2?
Typically phase 2. I mean, it depends. If I've got all the resistance and stuff with Ben, I'll take phase 2 or phase 3 and 4. But if Ben's got no resistances, no, I'd rather phase 2. No webs.
Yeah, I mean, webs are scary. Phase 2 is just a lot of high damage. I think almost, yeah.
I'll say again that phase 4 does not have any attacks coded for it. If you skip directly to phase 4 from phase 2, you'll still get phase 2's attacks.
Yeah, which can be annoying, especially if he keeps rolling Thunderblade, which does like 880 something damage. Something stupid like that.
I could find out.
Yeah. Also, we have not seen a Mega Flare glitch this any of these runs yet. I'll be curious to see if we see any this tournament.
What have I got listed here for?
Yeah, Mega Flare can crit, and it's not good. It's very, very mean.
I believe it's Mirror Sword. Is that right?
For which one can crit?
Yeah. The one that does 880.
I think that's Thunderblade.
There is nothing actually named Thunderblade. There's Dark Saber, Ice Sword, Fire Sword, Mirror Sword, Quake Axe, Cure Arrow.
Might be Dark Sword, because I know that one like shoots like it looks like it's lightning.
Yeah, Dark Saber is 115 times 8, which would come out to... Let me pull up a calculator. 920 minus defense. None of these are 110. Weird. But 920 minus defense would result in 880 if you had 40 defense, so... And I'm not sure what Phoebe's exact stats are.
Okay. Alright, chat. Well, unfortunately, it looks like we will not be able to see the end of X10's run here. He is still working on finishing. We're actually seeing this 10 minutes behind, and looking over at the race time GG, he does eventually finish with a 1 hour 48 minute and 41 second time. So just shy, but unfortunately we do have to throw it, well, not unfortunately, fortunately for you, you are going to get more races here at Speedgaming Live 2023. Our next run is going to be for Mega Man 46 Robot Masters, so we're going to go ahead and throw it over to that group for the next run. Thanks everybody so much for watching this. We do have qualifiers tomorrow at 9 p.m. Any last words from my co-commentator Giga or Sir Link-A-Lot?
Nope. I'm kind of excited for the Mega Man run, actually.
I am as well. I'll probably stick around for that. Link-A-Lot, any last words?
No, it was a good scene. Looking forward to tomorrow's. We'll see what that one has, and go if you want to see the end. Go watch X10.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
Cheer him on in his chat, or
yeah, man.
Give him some words because I guess he's finished already. But
yeah, give him all your GGs and all your loves, and until tomorrow, we'll see you then. Have a great night.
Anyone got X10's stream link?
I think I've got it.
Here it is. And I'll post it again for the raid. It's good to see the raid here. Alright, I'm out. Have a good time.